Train the tr train the trainer. Yes, that's an old-fashioned name, but really there are a lot of good hints that David is going to share with us tonight how we can improve any presentation that we make. So without further ado, distinguished Toastmaster David Kincade. Let's welcome David.
Thank you so much, Patty, for that very humbling introduction. I appreciate that so very much. I too am not fond of train the trainer or educate the educator or any of those, stump the chump might be a better one for this evening, okay? Let's see if you can stump the chump tonight. Now, you folks are here because you have agreed to host a training session at our virtual TLI coming up this weekend. And first off, I'd like to give you, well, Rochelle, we'll just pretend you said yes. And you should all give yourselves a big round of applause. Okay, most of you are here for that reason. The rest of you just showed up because you heard there was free cookies or something. That's fine too. Training our club officers. Why the heck do we train our club officers? Shouldn't our club officers learn how to be a club officer from the previous officer? Why do we have to train club officers? Come on. Everybody knows why we train our club officers, because if we don't have club officer training, we don't get that check mark in the distinguished program, right? So that's why we train club officers. No, that's not really why we do it, but the check mark is really important. We'll get to as to why lately. Who can tell me why they think we train our club officers?
It would be nice to train club officers so they don't become overwhelmed in the position and decide that they don't want to do it. It would be
Awesome.
nice to train the club officers so they can be consistent with the way everyone else is trained. It would be nice to train the club officers so they feel a little bit of confidence in what they do in a role that they have accepted. That all would have been nice.
Awesome.
And I
Anything
echo
else?
all of that.
Yeah.
But I also think that it also enhances their ability or the opportunity for them to achieve their goal for Toastmasters.
Right. As I've always said, there's nothing in Toastmasters that is not part of the training program. Being an officer is part of the training program. Being the president of Toastmasters International is training to be the CEO of a multinational corporation. Who knew, right? Everything we do is training. But I'm going to say that one of the main reasons we train our club officers is selfish on Toastmasters' part. And Rochelle hit it right on the nose. Consistency. Toastmasters International is a brand. And you've come to expect things from the brand. Just like if you go to any McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's anywhere in the world, and you order that same burger that you're planning on, it's going to look, taste almost exactly like it was at the last one and the next one and the one after that. Consistency. Everything is consistent. And by keeping it consistent that way, it protects the quality of the brand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Doesn't have somebody starting their own club and saying, but I want to teach this, I want to, and instead of that, and all of a sudden it's not like that. It's not right. It also makes sure that we do things according to the bylaws to be fair. And another thing, just like Burchell said, it helps keep officers from being overwhelmed. It shows them the easy way that no, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We got you. We got your back. There's plenty of resources. The difficulty has been that these resources have not been easy to find. And I will be the first to say that they're not well categorized on the Toastmasters International website. And the only thing worse than Toastmasters website was their old website. I have to say that what they have now, believe it or not, is better than it was in 2014. Because this came up in 2014. Before that, it was a hot mess, just an absolute hot mess. Today, it's just a mess. But it's getting better all the time. And I see improvements, improvements, improvements. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about why we do the training for our officers. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks to use in our presentation tool, Zoom, because we are doing this on Zoom to start with. And we're going to talk in depth about the presentation itself, where to get the information that you are to impart, and how it's to be presented, and how you can modify it to make it your own. And then we're going to talk to each other about some other tips and try to make sure that you get a chance to talk a little bit as well. Now, I usually say that in my meetings, I have 2 rules. And those of you who have been to my meetings before, you know those 2 rules. But for the newbies, those rules are cameras on, microphones on. Yeah, but if you, since you're a newbie, haven't been to one of my meetings before, that's fine if you don't want to do that today. I have a feeling that there are a lot of people who are very comfortable speaking into their club, but are not comfortable on camera. Guess what? That's public speaking too, and we need to address that. If you're not comfortable doing it, let's get you comfortable doing it. That's part of Toastmasters training as well, is being comfortable on camera. Oh, I'm not comfortable on camera at all, but I'm getting better at it. The more you do it, the better it is. And it's like they say, there's 3 ways to get better at public speaking: stage time, stage time, stage time. Just time on stage talking. That's how you get better at it. And the practice, this is a great place to do it. And you've all decided to sign up to do a little bit of practice by presenting. So that's great stuff. Well, I say you all. That's my hillbilly accent coming through. It's you guys, not you all. Yous guys have decided to do that. So good. Now, I have put into chat. Okay, so Josh has put on his pants. That's good. Excellent. Thank you very much, Josh. For those of you who weren't looking at the chat, Josh is the one who brought that up. I didn't. In the chat, once again, here's a link. And I am going to go to the link and I am going to share the screen that you get if you go to that link. Now watch what happens when I share this screen. I think you're going to like the way this works. Hang on, I got to do a little optimization here. And there we are. Well, what do you think of that?
Interesting. A little small.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a little small, but it's kind of interesting. This is what I call the Walter Cronkite view, because he would sit there and he would read the news and the video or the picture would be over there. And so this makes you look really trustworthy, just like Walter Cronkite. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second.
So what did
David,
you do to get
Dave-
your view like that?
Aha,
I'm sorry.
amazing. You should ask that. Now I'm going to share again, but I'm going to share without me in it. so that it'll be a little larger so you can see what's going on, okay? I'm going to share that and share it this way and there. Okay. Now what I did is I clicked on share and this screen here popped up. Now on this
Oh.
screen, you will see over here, layouts. This is new. It showed up a couple of months ago.
Oh, I see right there.
Layouts allows you to do this. Now this layout right here is the full screen like I'm sharing now. This one is the put it behind you, the weatherman view, pardon me, weather person view. And this one is the Walter Cronkite view. The fourth view on the right is a side-by-side view that spotlights one view of you and one view of the shared page. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm going to now show you a screen recording of what it looks like when getting there. There we are. When you actually do that. And this is in my way. Hang on, I'm moving this out of the way. And there we go. Here goes our recording. It's thinking. Okay. You select the screen that you want to share. I selected screen 3. There's the one where it's all over share. There's where it's behind you. And you can look at that, change your size, decide how you want to look. And then you can do this the same way, exactly the same way, by moving yourself into the frame the way you want to be framed. That view puts you side by side with your presentation. So this is what we're viewing right now. Make sense on that, on the share?
Yep.
Cool.
Now you can only do that when you're sharing your screen. Is that correct?
Right. When you're sharing a screen, you would share it this way and one of these ways. And
Okay.
that way you are there. You know, when most people are sharing things, they're sharing a screen, but they are still talking. And
Right.
you would
You
like
can't see
them to
them.
be able to see you
Exactly.
in the same square, not in
Yeah.
one of those little squares lost among all the other little squares. And this is a way to
That
do that.
that would also work if you wanted to create your own little presentation. You can log into your own Zoom by yourself and then record something that you wanted to send to your officers or club members.
Exactly. You are now looking at how a lot of people do their they're doing this. I've seen them on YouTube and Instagram already where people are doing this and it's obviously Zoom just the way that it's done, that they've recorded that way. It's really, really well done. Also, the share sound and optimize for video clip options are there. So your presentation, when you present it this way, can include animations and video and sound.
Hmm.
Just all from those clips right there. Just hit those little key clicks and present it. And there you go. You'll notice you saw a video in my share. Really easily done just because I shared the video and optimized. Nice stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions about the Zoom part? I'm going to tell you that this works well. It's a lot of fun to do, but I will caution you that if you are not comfortable with it, don't do it until you are. Because it can become a show where instead of presenting your material, The entire concept is how well you can work with Zoom. And that's the only takeaway they get. So don't do that. Just stay within your comfort zone as far as the technology, but push it on your own. Have a Zoom meeting between you and one other person, something like that, and see how that works. See how they like it on their end. The thing about Zoom is when you're presenting something, you have no idea what it looks like on the other end. That's one of the bad parts of Zoom is you don't have a preview screen to see what it looks like.
Right.
You can't see. Well, that's why everybody says, "Can you see my slides?"
Mm.
Never ever say that. If I'm in the room with you, I will pounce. You see my slides? Okay, speaking of slides, we all know that your audience has one basic rule. They can either read or listen. They can't do both at the same time. So if you've put up a slide with a lot of words, either stop talking while they read it, or don't put so darn many words on the slide, right?
Mhm.
I love it when people put up a spreadsheet and just start talking with the spreadsheet up there. I can't listen to them because I have to try to figure out what this spreadsheet is. What are the columns? I have to read every single column header. I have to read every little row. What's going on here? Where's my information? Oh, I get it. I see it now. Now, what'd you say?
You can multitask then, right?
There is no such thing as multitasking.
I know.
There's only serial tasking.
I
Yeah,
used to think that many years ago, but I've
yeah,
learned quickly.
multitasking is a euphemism for doing a half-assed job at many things at once.
Or doing
Pardon,
nothing at
pardon
all.
my French. Yeah, you don't get anything accomplished.
Right.
All right. So let's do some presentation here. Now I'm going to share the entire screen and you can just listen to me because the information on the screen is more important that you see this and it has a lot of words on it. So I want you to look at it. Okay. And I want to share it large enough that you can see them. So there. So what we're looking at here are the club officer training materials screen. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So what this is, I'm going to move this over here. There we go. Is a repository of everything you're going to need. If you are teaching a president course, then, or secretary, sergeant at arms, treasurer, vice president of education, membership, or public relations, any of those offices, your training materials are here. In each of these officers, you'll find a manual, a presentation PDF, and a PowerPoint deck. The manual is instructions for how to do the presentation. It doesn't say exactly say this or exactly do that. I'm going to show you the manual for the President Club Officer Training. It has a nice picture on the front and has a really good table of contents, how to use the guide, introduction, and then the different slides. And how to use the guide, how to prepare for your presentation, how to use the guide specifically. It talks about the different concept used. For instance, it shows you verbs that are used in the guide. Why would it define the verbs? Because it says show. That means click on something. Tell. That means say this exactly to your people. Ask. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask questions of people. That make sense?
It does.
Now down here, we start off with the introduction and the objectives, of the presentation itself. A couple of pages down, it's going to start with the introduction. Ooh, first one, show. Show the introduction slide. See a little slide there. Congratulations. This is where you can have your little introduction. Congratulations, you've been elected president. Congratulations, here's your opportunity. Then you talk about what's going on. A note to the facilitator, make an effort to vary your tone of voice while reading the information off the slides. I'm going to say, make an effort to vary your tone of voice while reading information off of somewhere else other than the slides. Do not read from the slides. If I was reading from the slide, I would say, we're going to do the president's role, president's responsibilities, president's resources. In fact, that's what it says here in the agenda. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, we're going to discuss your role as the president and what responsibilities that entails, and we're going to help you find resources to get that done. That's how you would say this to make it more interesting, because they need to listen to you, not read the slides and look at the pretty pictures.
Right.
Same way with each of the slides. And as they go through the slides, there are notes. Tell them where to find this information. Ask questions. This gets it interactive. You have to keep it interactive, back and forth, back and forth. Make sure that they aren't clicking over on Amazon or watching Wheel of Fortune. I only say that because Amazon's open over here and Wheel of Fortune's open. No, I closed the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, Wheel of Fortune's gone off
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah,
at 6:58.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it is late. All right, so going back to this screen here, we have one of these for all of the officers. And you'll notice it includes a PDF and a PowerPoint of the presentation. The PowerPoint is for you to present. The PDF, what the heck is the PDF for? I'm not really sure. It's a presentation. It's just the slides in PDF format. If you feel more comfortable presenting the slides in that format, by all means, do that. I guess it was meant as a handout that you could hand them out. But quite frankly, if you could get the information from the slides, then why are we doing this live? Why don't I just email it to you and we're done? It doesn't work that way. I love it when people ask, can we get a copy of your deck at the end of the production of the presentation? I said, what good would that do? I'm not included. Oh, well. Now, back up here at the top, we see club officer training materials. Right here at the top, it says training basics, getting it right, making it work. What is that? Well, that is this. This is a guide that you should download and read. This is how to train adults. It is a modern, new, updated format. It talks about, let me make it even bigger here, speaker versus trainer. There are many speakers who are trainers and many trainers who are speakers, but not all speakers are trainers and not all trainers are speakers. There is some overlap. And your goal is to be in that little center area of this Venn diagram, to be a speaker and a trainer. There is really good instruction on how adults learn. There's different ways that adults learn. They're not like kids who learn one particular way or another. Adults sometimes have to learn in a specific way. They go, okay, well, I only learn this way. Well, if you say that, then that's true. You will only learn that way. Myself, I learn best when I'm slapped in the face with it. In other words, when I discover it myself. A lot of adults learn best that way. So it's very important to help them discover the answers. And the way we do that is by asking lots of questions, something I'm not doing today. Section 3 is how to prepare. There are special ways that you prepare for an adult training session over teaching kids. I'm not teaching this content. I'm just giving you a preview of it here. How to make the session count. You got to make it worthwhile. Why did you come here? I love section 5, training do's and don'ts. And I love the one that says, don't turn your back on the participants. And I thought, well, did we really have to write that down? Good heavens, I thought we all knew that. Well, apparently we did have to write that down. All you have to do is watch some presenters on TV and realize they don't know that, because they'll turn around and they'll keep talking and they'll look and they'll point back there. Now, did you see that back there? Not, I saw the back of your head because that was all I was looking at. Now, the really fun part gets down here, section 6, dealing with difficult participants. Now, how many of you have done the dealing with a different audience project in Pathways? Just almost everybody, yeah, or at least you've seen it done. Very similar, but it's a little more training oriented and it's got a little better strategies. They've got the interrupter, the chatter, the arguer, the silent type. Ooh, the silent type is not one they discussed. That's really difficult in training. People that just don't want to engage at all. And then there's the electronic device enthusiast who are going, yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead. Sure, yeah. Yeah, you know them, you see them. And I have to admit, I maybe have been one of those once or twice. But always how to put your participants first. This is a really great manual, and I recommend that you grab that copy, download it, and look at it. Now, back here on this page, there's this first thing that says Club Officer Training Building Blocks. Boy, what are those? Let's see. Club Officer Tutorials, the Club Leadership Handbook, Moments of Truth, and the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan. Starting with the last one, if you click on that, that'll just take you to a place where you can download an overview PDF of each of those items. Most of us have either seen or presented a Moments of Truth in our clubs. It helps to get clubs on track and back into the program, and it keeps the program within the brand. The Club Leadership Handbook is something that used to be given out for free to every officer as soon as they were reported to TI. You would get the club would get a packet of Club Leadership Handbooks. They'd pass them out to the officers. Well, we don't do it in paper anymore. You can go download your own. There it is right there. This is really important for every club officer to know how to get to and use, because this will include, find a good example, missions, values, and promises. You'll notice the Toastmasters International mission. Who knows that? Who knew that before seeing this right here? They have their own mission statement, and it's to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Who knew? Also, if you'll notice, the club mission in this brand new printing is a little different than the club mission that we grew up on. It means exactly the same thing, but the words have been changed just slightly. But it starts with that, and the core values, the international brand promise, that this is a promise Toastmasters International makes to club members. That's the mission statement. Empowering individuals through personal and professional development. That's the brand. Also in here, you're going to find resources. It's a resource for resources. This is an updated way to find all of the club marketing resources and the club, all the other officer resources as well. How to govern a club. It gives you a basic outline of a meeting and the timeline. This is gold right here. These are all the tasks, and they're color coded by the officer who's involved. Several pages of these. Specific deadlines, also very important. So basically, the club leadership handbook is something, we didn't even get a quarter of a way through this. It's a really good handbook, and they should actually get their own copy. They may even want to print it out and staple it together and make it look really good. The other thing that's
That's in the
new,
leadership handbook then, right?
that's the club leadership handbook. Yes, it's product number 1310. Right there. Really good stuff.
Mhm.
All of that link that I put into chat takes you to this page where you can find links to all these other things. I was so happy to see they put everything on this one page finally. Now,
Yeah.
the club officer tutorials, that is a really cool page. It takes you to this page here. This page has a section for each of the officers, including the immediate past president. Fun stuff. In that, you will find a role summary, which basically summarizes the role of the officer itself, a self-evaluation so that they know just exactly where they are and what they need to do to become a more effective leader. And the tutorial is the sweet part. This is a learning management system style 5-minute video lesson about their role. If I click on that, I get a video. And once I'm hearing video, I didn't enable the sound so you can't hear it. And then I click the next, and it starts presenting information. Gotta love that. It works really, really well on both Chrome browser and Safari. It also works well in Microsoft Edge, but it does not work on mobile devices yet. But it's so new, they went ahead and rolled it out for this. I really like these. There's tutorials for each of these. I went through most of them, not all of them, but the ones that I went through, none of them were over 5 minutes long. You also notice the Vice President of Public Relations has an extra button here. This is an extra source for their resources of the marketing help that Toastmasters International provides. So this is an excellent, yes.
Richard, you had your hand up just a minute ago. Did
Oh.
you have a question or you wanted to point something out?
Yeah, I did have a question about that. Are the tutorials, well, as far as training goes, club officers, if the club officer took the tutorial, would that count as training? You know, and so that the members, you know, the officers can check those off instead of going to the TL. You
No.
know what? Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm clear.
Yeah, you're very clear. Will that count towards the
Yes,
DCP? No,
that's right.
it will not. Couple of reasons for that. One, it's only 5 minutes. It's not comprehensive. It's just an overview.
Okay.
Second, currently, there's no tracking as to who watches these and who doesn't. Once
Okay.
these are placed inside a learning management system and expanded, I foresee club officer training moving from the way we're doing it now to that. But then again, I don't know if they're going to go away from this live training that we do, simply because not only is it good training for the officers, it's good for us. We learn how to become better presenters, better teachers, better educators, better presenters just by doing this training.
Okay, okay. I do have one more question.
Sure.
Going back, the question about the club leadership handbook. When I became officer earlier on last year, I don't recall TI sending any type of link or anything like that
Oh.
about the club officer or
No,
club leadership handbook. But you know, previously I do recognize that, you know, years past they sent the leadership handbook manually printed out to everybody. So are they doing that? Are they sending out links to new officers, or we just have to rely on ourselves to do that?
no, it's up to us. It's all self-service on that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh says he doesn't think he's ever seen the handbook. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that this even exists. And it's not a small handbook either. If I go down here, it is 60 pages. It's comprehensive.
Well, you know what? While he was doing that, I scanned my email, and on July 14th of last year, days after I took the role, I got my congratulations, and there is a link to the club leadership handbook.
You know, one of those emails we don't read. Are you kidding?
That one.
And it came, email came from whom?
It came from TI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to say it's not self-service. It's read the darn email.
Well, it had the link to it. It's kind of a long email, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
might not it talks about Club Central, the handbook, distinguished speech tool. So it was one of those like, oh, I'll check those out later kind of email.
Yeah, that, and I've been an officer before. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to read all this stuff. Yeah. Things are changing. Even the officer roles. Oh, I've been president before. Oh, guess what? Things are changing. That's the one constant in the world is change, and things are moving on. Now, down here, you're going to find other things that are really fun presentations, like prospective member management and member engagement and retention, quality club meetings, effective meetings, creating a quality club. All of these are presentation programs that you can grab and present as the occasion arises. Or you can just sit down and present it to yourself just for a learning evaluation. It's really a fun thing. Enhancing evaluations. Wouldn't that be good to show, to do that presentation at your club? And you see, it's got the same format. It's got a manual, a PDF, and a deck. Yeah. And this is all considered part of officer training. But these are all electives up here, whereas the required ones are down here. Now, the training club leaders section here, this is just a manual. And this manual is mainly for districts on how to conduct officer training, not the actual meat and potatoes of the officer training itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so what you want to do, if I'm doing the secretary training, I want to get the manual and the PowerPoint deck and take the presentation PDF as well, because somebody will want copies of your deck. You can put it into chat during the, at the end of your meeting. If you do it at the beginning of the meeting, they'll spend the whole meeting printing and sorting and stapling instead of listening. But you do that at the end and practice that presentation a couple times between now and then. Do we want to give the presentation exactly like it is on the page? No, you don't want to do that. Do we have to give the presentation that's in the deck? Yes, that's the brand. Now, we're going to serve a dish that's made up of lots of different ingredients. The main ingredient is that presentation. You can season it, you can put whatever sauce you want on it, but by golly, I better see that presentation on my plate when I sit down to eat. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you can make it fun, you can make it happy. Please, for heaven's sake, make it fun. Because we learn best in times of enjoyment. So, what other questions have I not answered? Anybody else that had a question I didn't answer yet? Patty's got her hand up. Yes, Patty.
I like the comment that you would want to start out on a virtual meeting. We're here in a meeting. Please unmute your microphones and turn on your video.
Yeah, this is a meeting. I liken the idea of people with their cameras off in a meeting being sitting in a room with a bunch of people, but you've got a blanket over your head. And we don't know if you're in there or not and what you're doing. You might be somewhere else. I don't know. But you're not in the meeting with me. That's for sure. But you might be. I don't know. I'm just that way.
Debbie, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the course I'm doing is Sergeant at Arms, and it's interesting because TI has said a couple different places, because I've downloaded the PowerPoint and everything. They acknowledge that there are some differences now than there was 5 years ago of what a sergeant at arms does. But the PowerPoint doesn't reflect that. And so I've taken it upon myself to kind of like tweak the PowerPoint. I have the same basic slides, but I've added some like additional stuff in there and modified them.
Exactly. I'm going to hold that up like this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there. Oh,
Okay.
no, it didn't.
Nope,
Okay,
didn't do it.
let's do it again.
Oh, look at Richard.
There it is. Okay. All right, Richard, show off. You can always add to it. Yes, like I say, that's your sauce. And with Sergeant at Arms, that is important because, oh, I need to get there early and set up the meeting room. That means open the meeting.
Right.
Okay, click here. Done.
Yeah. Well, and just a word of warning, and I communicated with Patty, but the PowerPoint that you download, the non-PDF one, is a PPSX file
Yeah,
that
PPS.
can't be edited. So you have to open it, you have to save it as a PPTX,
Correct.
and then you can modify it. So FYI,
That's
anybody,
correct.
if you want to add anything or modify yours, you have to go through those steps.
Josh is mentioned something that we need to keep in mind. Josh, go ahead and say that out loud.
I was just saying that sometimes video can eat a lot of bandwidth, and we can't always assume that everyone on this call has super fast internet access. I, for one, have Charter. It goes down about 100 times a day, and it drives me nuts. When everyone's on their little screens like this, what I always have is someone says, the most important thing you need to know is, and then when my internet comes back, it says, and that was the most important thing. So you can't always just tell
Don't ever
people
forget it.
to just jump on that video because sometimes it clogs the whole thing up.
That's really good. That's
Mhm.
really good. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about tips for the training itself is one of the most important things that you can have, pencil and paper. If you're having a live meeting, then a flip chart and marker is essential, or at least a chalkboard, something, because you need a parking lot. That's where if I'm talking about subject A and all of a sudden Josh wants to talk about bandwidth, Josh, I really want to talk about that, but can we put that in the parking lot for just a few minutes and we'll come back to it later? Great. So I'll write down bandwidth discussion in the parking lot or on the parking lot paper. And then towards the end of the meeting, I'll say, now let's go to the parking lot and see what we forgot to cover. Oh, let's talk about Josh's bandwidth. Yes. And now whiteboard, Josh has mentioned it again, the whiteboard in Zoom, that is a third way that you can do it. If you feel comfortable using the whiteboard, you can definitely do that. I have enough windows open and I can't figure out which one's playing the music, so I just use pencil and paper. But yeah, the whiteboard function works very well for that because you can just bring up that whiteboard and just like that. And there you are. Now, how
Does
do I
it
get
work
the,
in a breakout room?
Yes.
yes, whiteboards do work in a breakout room
Mhm.
while sharing does not.
Okay.
How do I close the whiteboard?
Don't
Just
know.
close it.
I'm having a little difficulty with that. It doesn't seem, I wish I hadn't opened this thing.
It should be a little X up in the top corner, right?
Oh, no, there's a red button in the middle of the top of the screen that says close whiteboard.
Oh,
Okay, I learned something right there. It closes the same way a share does with the red button
Mhm.
at the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen or wherever you put it. So there you are. Sharing does not work in breakout rooms. Sharing does not work in breakout rooms.
It doesn't. Well, that's going to be a problem then.
It
You can
does.
provide a
Sharing
link
does.
though.
Yeah, it will work in breakout rooms. Sharing does work. I'm sorry. Sharing works in breakout rooms perfectly.
Yeah.
Forget I said that. I didn't mean sharing. I said something doesn't work in breakout rooms and it's spotlighting.
Mhm.
Spotlighting doesn't work in breakout rooms. You don't want to spotlight anybody anyway. Yeah, but yeah, you'll be able to share it. Sharing's fine. It's like, wait a minute. Sharing works. Who said that? All right, cool stuff. Patty,
How long is our training session? It's
how long is
scheduled.
a training session? Oh, okay, everybody, how long is your training session?
the one tonight?
No, the one that you're
Okay.
doing at the
Until people
TLI.
stop asking questions.
That's the acceptable answer. Sure, yes. I was
Well,
looking
they're
for a
slotted
number.
for a certain amount of time, so maybe 10 minutes before, so people can have a discussion and ask questions.
I like to shoot for 40 minutes. 40 minutes. You can use a timer. I've got a timer running over here and it already says I'm 10 minutes past where I should be at this point, simply because we talked a lot about some other stuff. We had some banter back and forth. That's why I shoot for 40 minutes because my presentation lasted 10 minutes longer than it did this morning for the same amount of information. It doesn't last an hour. We allot an hour. An hour is when you've gone 30 seconds over the red and they get the hook and pull you off, right? But you get an app or something like that to help you with the time if you don't have a timer running like I do. Or there's actually this new fangled thing called a clock. You can hang one on the wall and you just look up and you can see the time.
But isn't this scheduled like 9 to 10:30?
It is. I'm going to take about 10 minutes to do just a little presentation. And so then you guys will be able to start, the presenters will be able to start about 9:15, get everybody into the rooms, take some attendance. And then if you go 40 minutes, and you can either continue your discussion there, or you can come back to the main room and we'll be there. Josh is going to be our Zoom master for the day. So we can come back to the main room and ask questions about either something that you covered during the or wasn't answered during that presentation.
Marvelous. Or you can add a clock directly to your PowerPoint presentation. Of course you can. Nice stuff. And if you really want one, the Zoom window itself is my timer. Well, I can't share the Zoom window, but it has a timer on it. And you can look and see exactly what's going on as far as the time and that sort of thing. I see it as 7:53 according to Zoom. I assume that's correct. Any other questions we're looking for?
Cal, did you start to say something?
Oh, he was talking about the time, and he
Oh.
said he's wondering if that was correct, and I said it is.
Oh,
I always ask Cal to correct my time if it's wrong. Cool, cool stuff. Well, I hope you've gotten something out of this, that you haven't considered it mediocre, that you've found it a good use of your time, because that's what we want you to feel like when you are asking your people to, after your presentation, to feel like it was a good use of their time as well. So pass it along. Couple other things. You'll notice my shirt. Represent the brand. If you've got a t-shirt or a shirt or a ball cap, wear it. You know, because you're special. Put a uniform on. Get a background. Make one. Have some fun. Because you're special here. You're a presenter, District 8. And we're very proud of you.
yes.
Back to you, Patty.
Thank you so much, David. What another great training session. I really do appreciate it. Wasn't that great? I mean, there's just a lot of information. And I will say, I sent the old presentations out to everybody because I didn't find this one until later. And so I didn't want to confuse people. As David said in the earlier presentation, rather than trying to look for something, when you log into TI, that little search button at the top, if you just type in there, because a lot of times, I'll go to resources. I'm like, well, then I gotta, it's too convoluted. And you can find a lot of things a lot quicker that way just by typing in the search there on the TI.
Pops
So
right up.
Thank
You'll
everybody
also, if you go through the menus, you sometimes find an old page with
Yes.
old information.
Anyway. And for those of you who don't know, we have Curtis Scroggins online. He is going to be beginning July 1st. Not only is he a past district governor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, past district the governor. And but he's taking on another voluntary role of regional advisor. Right now we're part of Region 5. Beginning July 1, we will be part of Region 4. And that's where Curtis is going to be a regional advisor. So that doesn't usually happen. They usually make regional advisors go outside the region. So we'll have a direct line to Curtis. You might regret that, Curtis, but thank you so much for stepping up, and just really appreciate everybody coming tonight. So we'll see you around, and look forward to if you want to come on back to the club officer training on this Saturday, you're more than welcome. And hopefully soon we'll have some information about the in-person TLI. All righty. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
All righty. Thanks, everybody. Good night now.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Oh,